reports of the Auditor General on the accounts of universities and tertiary institutions. The reports of the Auditor General have raised issues of going concern and negative working capital. Vice-Chancellors in their submissions have attributed this to of the reports of the Auditor General on public universities. The committee has been concerned with the financial state of the higher education sector in the country and notes that the government places students in private universities using the public central placement service, leaving idle capacity in public universities and diverting already scarce funds through conditional grants as capitation to private universities. In this pursuit to address the financial sustainability of this public institution, as cited in the audit reports, the committee resolved to invite the Cabinet Secretary for Education, among other issues, to look at the rationale that informed the placement of government-sponsored students in private universities. 2, the law that compels the Central Placement Service to share students between public and private universities, and for the University Fund to advance funds to private universities. 3, funding structure, DCU model to public universities, including amount disbursed in the last 5 financial years. 4, capitation provided to students in both private and public universities, including whether the criteria used per capita or lump sum, and if the latter, the formula used. 5, how public funds disbursed to private universities are tracked in terms of graduation rate and how these funds are accounted for. And 6, efforts to make public universities financially sustainable. So basically, first we were looking at the law that government uses to place public students to private universities. And today, having deliberated on the same, it's clear, quite crystal clear, that there is no law that compels COOPs to place students in private universities. 2, that as it stands now, the government universities have capacity to almost 200,000. The children who did, the students who did KCSE and got C+ and above are only 174,000, meaning the public universities can absorb all students and even remain with more capacity to absorb even international students. So we have gotten commitment today, and I think from what transpired yesterday at State House and today with the minister here, we have put the last nail on the coffin that moving forward from this year's placement, COOPs is not going to place any public student in private university unless they have requested to do so and for which they shall pay. I think basically that is the outcome of our today's meeting, and we are going to make recommendations now to Parliament. Our committee is also in the process of coming up with a bill that will functionally tighten up loose ends to ensure that public universities do not continue suffering at the expense of private universities. Hapo ndio tumefika.
So perhaps just a clarification on this. I know the reasons to why there's been pushed not to place students in private universities to save public universities from going under, especially financial struggles. Maybe as a committee, have you tried to look at the entire process, that if that were to happen, how much will government save towards public universities?
For instance, in the last 5 years, government has spent 13.7 billion on private universities as capitation and 6.7 billion as grants. So we are looking at money in excess of 20 billion that will now inject back to public universities. Yeah. So it's quite a big chunk. We are going to resuscitate most of these universities that are in ICU now.
And on the bigger challenge, it may be trying to...
Made recommendations. Yes, it's about 61 billion. Pending bills, projects that have been started that are not continuing, value for money, the government is losing it. So we have recommended, and the CS has undertaken, that universities will not start any new projects until they finish, finalize, pay for all that has been contracted, so that after 2-3 years, we will have a clean slate now to start and ensure that our universities are floating. Sasa wewe namna gani?